everybody, this is Abby.
And Garrett.
And this is Time to Travel. So, sorry we got caught off with our Iceland Part 1 podcast, but we're back at you with Part 2, ready to share the rest of our trip.
Yeah, super excited.
So, we left off when we were in Hoffen and we had just seen the Northern Lights, which was amazing.
It was really cool. And that's one of the reasons we went there during that time in mid-October, was to see the Northern Lights. And
this was our only glimpse. Thankful that we got to see just a little bit of them, but certainly want to go back or go somewhere else where we can see the Northern Lights, because I just feel like it's a super cool experience. But we were at all-time high, I think, when we noticed it was the Northern Lights, and we got a few cool pictures with them.
Yeah, it was really, really cool.
But anyway, we went to bed shortly after that. And the next day we went, this was kind of our big day in the South, kind of some of those things that you might do if you're there for 3 or 4 days. But we went to one of the glaciers in Iceland, and we went on a really awesome tour of the ice caves. To get there, we went on these massive vans, and on the van, I think there were tires that were 5 feet tall. It was crazy. It was a really cool trek to get out to the glacier, and then we had to hike probably about, I don't know, what would you say, half an hour?
Yeah, probably a couple miles.
Half an hour or so to get to the ice tour, to the ice caves. But it was just really, really neat. Not something you get to do every day is go hang out on a glacier or.
And the best way to get there is definitely through a tour. So I highly recommend that. And we drank some glacial water.
Glacial water, I know. Literally, they were just fill up your water bottle from the stream.
It was so good.
Normally we would be a little bit worried about that with Giardia or something like that, but
for sure,
it was totally fine. Delicious and ice cold.
Yeah, it was really nice.
It was awesome.
That day too was the first day that the sun really came out for the whole day. So it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Great experience too.
And I think one of the coolest things when we were on the tour is just that we got a lot of firsthand information from somebody who is Icelandic. The tour was really well done. And this was the first time we'd done a tour in Iceland besides our walking tour on the first day.
Yeah.
And it was an average price, so we were talking about costs a little bit earlier of food and whatnot, and this was about $100 a person, which I feel is probably comparable to most day-long tours anywhere else you go, so right around around the mark for that. But the ice inside the cave was just this really, really beautiful blue,
sparkling blue. Oh my gosh,
it was a neat experience for sure, and I would definitely recommend that.
Yeah.
After that, we kind of walked around the lagoon, and then just on the other side of this lagoon is Diamond Beach, and I'm sure you've seen tons of pictures of Diamond Beach, but there's literally these crystal clear ice chunks off the coast or floating on the beach or right next to the beach of just ice. So we had a good time kind of exploring there. It was really picturesque. It's a black sand beach with these crystals, essentially. That's why they call it Diamond Beach.
It was gorgeous, and we couldn't hit a better day. I mean, the sun was shining, and you guys were climbing all over the. I think I got some really cool photos of Abby climbing on the glaciers or
Corinne falling off of one.
Yeah, Corinne fell off one.
It was fun. We just had a good time there.
Yeah.
And then next, we had a little bit of a trek back to Vik, which was our next campsite, and we kind of were just exploring a little bit this day, and we decided to kind of go off the beaten path. We found this really cool canyon that was just gorgeous. It was if anybody's ever been through the Glenwood Canyon, it was narrower than that and probably about as deep as the Glenwood Canyon, but it was just super cool, and you could walk out over it, and there was a river at the bottom that led out to the ocean, but it was just stunning.
Well, the cool thing about the ring road is you can literally just drive on it, and there's all these different pull-offs or exits to go to different waterfalls, canyons, pretty much a ton of different tourist sites. So there's a lot.
Can't go wrong.
There's a lot of options.
Absolutely. So that night we camped in Vik. I'm pretty sure we made dinner in the van that night. And the next day we woke up and we went to this little cool coffee shop right next to the campsite. It was a school bus that had been converted into a cafe. That was neat. It's called School Beans. So if you're ever in Vik camping there, I would definitely say check it out. It was cool. They had a little cat that that hangs out there.
Yeah, Vic was really cool. I liked Vic a
Vic
lot.
was cool. And then really close by to Vic are a couple other like really notable Iceland attractions. We went to Reynisfjara Beach, which was like another black sand beach, but I thought this one was super cool because it's got these like massive basalt pillars. They're like these hexagon shapes. All of them are hexagon shapes, which is really unique, but apparently it's formed when magma cools like super slowly. So it was just something like I've never seen before. I'm pretty sure, who was it? Somebody filmed their music video on this beach.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, but...
I mean, and if you've seen pictures of Iceland, you've probably seen this beach before, so it was really cool. And Abby's from a town called Basalt, so she was very excited.
I was very happy.
To see a bunch of basalt rocks.
Basalt rocks,
Yeah.
that's like... You know, the last time I said basalt rocks was like for my like U8 soccer team.
Yeah,
that was our team name. I'm pretty sure.
It was
basalt
really cool.
rocks, but...
And the south is really, really pretty. Definitely a little more touristy because you get a lot of day trips coming from Reykjavik because you're within driving distance.
Yeah, probably 2 hours.
Yeah, so just keep that in mind. But it's absolutely worth it for sure.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And this is where you see all the things that you're really looking to get out of Iceland, I would say.
Yeah.
At the same beach, there were like there's massive rock pillars. Again, they're, cooled magma out in the ocean. They're called like the troll's heads, walking back into the water. There's some fairy tales about them being like frozen and stopped on the water. But this was a cool beach. It is a little bit like they do warn you because there's an undertow or there's like surprise waves that can just kind of come up. And there have been some like tourist deaths, so we were like a little bit worried.
I shouldn't laugh at that.
But the worst thing that happened was that Corinne got shit on by a bird. Nobody died here.
That's the reason I'm laughing, because I just remembered that. So yeah, we were taking like photos and
there were birds everywhere.
And tons of seagulls and stuff, and we looked down and Corinne just got shit on like right up. But typical Corinne fashion, she laughed it off, and it didn't bother her.
Like we said, ray of fucking sunshine.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so after that, we went on to a couple more waterfalls. Surprise! Seljalandsfoss was the next stop, and it was this massive waterfall. And what was really cool about this waterfall is that you can actually like walk entirely around it. So we walked behind the waterfall, which was unique, like not something that I've done very often.
Bring your ski jacket and ski pants
and you're maybe a rain poncho.
Yeah, because you're gonna get soaked.
We were drenched, absolutely drenched, but it was worth it. Like, and then luckily for us, we had all of our stuff in the van, so we could just like get back in the van and change our clothes and hang up our pants to dry and our jackets to dry, and it was not a big deal.
Yeah, it was great.
The other thing that was super cool here was there's this other waterfall, and it's kind of tucked away. So like if you go to Seljalandsfoss, I would say that make sure you go to this other kind of hidden waterfall. And it's not noticeable at all because there's only this like little creek coming out of it. But you can actually like walk back through this super narrow canyon. You kind of have to duck and like go under some rocks and things. But it opens up to this like massive 80-foot waterfall, and it was just like the coolest thing ever. We'll post a video of that on our Instagram, but it was really, really neat.
Well, I think some other tourists or backpackers told us about this, and so we tried to find it, and we eventually did, and it was totally worth it. So it was really cool.
Yeah.
Tons of waterfalls. Make sure you guys have really good waterproof shoes. We wore Keens. A shout out to Chris. We wore these really comfortable waterproof Keens, and they
saved our lives.
So make sure your shoes and your gloves and jacket and pants are pretty waterproof.
I think we're a little better off than Corinne's Uggs.
Yeah.
No offense, Corinne.
Yeah, I don't know about Ugg boots.
I think those went in the trash after she got back from Iceland.
Yeah.
So this was like, like we said, the daylight was definitely waning by the time that we were back on the road. Like, there's not a whole lot of daylight in the day, so at this time of year. So for lunch, we got something interesting, but hot dogs are like a huge thing in Iceland.
Well, not only hot dogs, but like gas station hot dogs. And we read about this like before the trip and everything, and then we heard a bunch of people talking about it, and we're like, all right, we got to try these like gas station hot dogs. And they did not disappoint. I mean, they were so good. So good.
We did like the bar stool pizza review.
Oh yeah, we did. It was so good. I mean, you can get different variations too. I think, and they make
Garrett gave it an 8.9.
Yeah, it was very, very good. I think you can. So a lot of these are made out of lamb, and then pork and beef.
It's like a mixture of all the meat together.
And then you can put. I think mine had bacon on it, and then they have this really, really good curry mustard in Iceland. No, Corinne and I loved it.
No, I'm not a fan.
It is so good. So the curry mustard is a must, and the hot dogs are a must for sure.
Yeah, so good. Surprisingly, but it was awesome, and we ended up doing it a couple more times.
Yeah, and that might have helped out with my shock of how much gas was. So, so just be prepared, guys, when you travel to Iceland. The gas and the food and the drink.
Things are pricey.
Things are pricey, but it's worth it. It's totally worth it. So.
And Garrett and I are also, like, big proponents of, like, you know what? Like, we're going to spend money on things that are going to be, like, memories for us. Like, we're not necessarily, like, designer clothes type of people, or we have to have the nicest car or like, the nicest house, but we'd definitely rather spend our money on travel and experiences and memories together. So that's our background on that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
So that night, like, we drove a little bit further and we went to this campsite. This was kind of like us wrapping up our trip. We had a beer sampling. We went and bought a bunch of different Icelandic beers and did like little flights together. That was kind of fun. Mm-hmm. Went to bed and then woke up the next day for our last day in the van. We made a big breakfast. Like, we had an awesome kitchen, so we used it. And then we headed out to the Blue Lagoon, which was awesome. Garrett had been there before, but it was a cool place to go back to, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Blue Lagoon's, it's a must. If you go to Iceland, it's a really cool experience. It's a little crowded, but... It's
a little crowded, and it's a little bit expensive, but, it's, very, like, notable, like Iceland. You go to Iceland, you go to the Blue Lagoon. And
it's a little outside of Reykjavik, probably about 45 minutes to an hour, so keep that in mind if you ever go. Make sure you find a tour or a ride or whatever. So we had a great time there. We did like the face mask typical thing. Yeah. I thought that the mud was like on the ground. Apparently it used to be like that, but it's not like that anymore. And they collect all of the mud off of the ground. Yeah. Or like I think from maybe somewhere else. I think they filter it or something.
I hope. It's a little bit nasty.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, they give you like a free face mask with
Don't worry,
your
it was
entry.
It was very
cool.
It was very clean and it was very good. I must say, I wanted to touch on a little bit. So for dishes throughout the whole trip, so we would get to these campsites and, you have these outdoor sinks and you pretty much just have to do the dishes outside in the wind, in the snow, in the rain. So that was pretty interesting. And I was a dishwasher. Abby and Corinne,
you did a good job.
Thanks. But it just adds to the experience. I mean, it was fun, but...
The driver and the dishwasher. You did your roles well. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, after the Blue Lagoon, we had a really good time, and we decided that, like, all right, our time with the van is coming to an end. So we brought back our van to Cuckoo Campers.
Oh, man.
There was a lot of animosity around this.
No, well...
we were anxious.
No, we were very anxious.
Yeah, we were super, super anxious.
We didn't know what the Cuckoo Campers would say, how they would react to it. So I showed, a guy came out, and he looked at the door, and he opened it, and he goes, "Oh, man, I'm going to have to go get my manager for this one."
And he's like, "This is a lot of money, like, a lot of money."
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, God. We'd taken bets on how much it was going to cost. Just put a little figure in your head and... curious to see what it's...
Well, anything car related is going to be, in the thousands. So sure enough, we got the bid back, and it was $3,000 for the door alone. They don't. So when it comes to insurance, a lot of places don't cover. Well, they didn't cover the door because it happens a lot.
And we were super hopeful that like maybe our credit card would cover it. Like, when you rent a car and most credit cards take care of car rentals. And we thought that would be totally fine. However, and this is really, really important for you guys to know if you plan on renting an RV, RVs are considered recreational vehicles and are not covered by a lot of credit card insurance. So just like make sure you read the fine print, pay extra for things. Like we were obviously super disappointed that we had to pay $3,000 because that was like double the
cost
of the van. And
yeah,
it was
Corinne,
a pretty penny.
Yeah, Corinne.
Just kidding.
No, I'm just joking. But make sure you guys do figure out your insurance before you rent a car or an RV. It's very important if stuff like that happens.
And unfortunately, a lot of places in Iceland don't even cover wind damage. So
for obvious reasons.
Yeah, it was just a risk that we took, and unfortunately, this time it didn't necessarily go our way, and that's okay.
Yeah, but nobody got hurt. So yeah, just keep that in mind if you guys ever rent a RV or a car in Iceland.
Yep.
Park towards the wind.
Facing the wind. Put your hand out the window and see which way the wind is coming from.
Yeah.
So we returned the van. Not the greatest news, but, it is what it is. And we headed back into Reykjavik for our final night. It was technically, in Iceland, considered the first day of winter. Not obviously by, the Gregorian calendar or,
no.
But in Iceland.
It was mid-October.
Yeah, they were celebrating it. And this was interesting. They had, hot chocolate on the streets, and they were, just little things to kind of
it was really
commemorate
cool.
the start. But this was neat, and this was something also really interesting that we learned during our trip. We lost 52 minutes of daylight in our week there. The sun just changes so dramatically in Iceland.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind, too, when you're planning a trip, is okay, how much daylight is there going to be? In the summer, obviously, you'll have, 16 hours of sunshine, but not so much in October. But
no.
So we went out to our final dinner. This was honestly one of the most delicious dinners we had. We tried to do some local fare. We had Arctic char and Icelandic cod, and it was so good.
Yeah, just the seafood was unbelievable.
Yeah, I think we were also just trying to celebrate our final, our trip. Which was really, really fun.
Yep.
We got some wine with dinner. And then we decided, we didn't want our night to end, so we ended up going out to this bar. There were a lot of really cool bars in Reykjavik, I would say.
It's a really cool city.
There was one place we went to before dinner where they were playing live music, and, Britney Spears was on. It was wow, we are living right now.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. And then we ended in this pub that night. And so we all grabbed, a pint. And we were heading up to, the rooftop of this bar. We got up to the rooftop and realized that, it was too crowded, so we were going to go back downstairs. And while we were walking downstairs, and many of you, that have been to Europe, know that the stairs in Europe are, one, not only super steep, but two, very narrow steps.
Yeah.
Maybe you can see where this is.
And not always even.
Yeah, so...
Very old.
We were going back down the steps, and I was wearing my, clunky boots.
Yeah.
Great for everything.
You looked great, though.
Not for going down steps. And we were going around the corner, so, again, a really narrow spot, and my heel just slipped, and I fell so hard, on the step, just, flat down.
You
right
did.
On my
You
ass.
felt really hard. And your beer went flying everywhere, and you get...
Oh, and the guy in front of me literally turned around and goes, "You got me, fucker!" It's are you kidding me? Because I meant to do that.
Yeah. Well, he was he was an old codger.
And I was literally biting my lip, fighting back tears. I just recently tore my ACL. That's the story for another day. But, hitting my ass on that stair hurt a million times worse than my ACL.
Oh, my God.
I was literally fighting back tears.
And the bruise to match it was just... the bruise was just...
Literally my entire ass cheek.
Yeah.
Just bruised.
It
was bad.
It was black and blue.
Let's just say that sitting on the plane the next day was not the most comfortable thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
But, so after that, I kind of concluded our night. We went back to the hotel, went to bed. Corinne had an early flight, so we said our goodbyes that morning, and then she was off, and Garrett and I went out for a final day of exploring Reykjavik. Our flight wasn't till a little bit later, but we just enjoyed wandering around. There's lots of really cool street art in Reykjavik, which we thought was pretty neat and just interesting to see the different artists and their different takes, but trying to bring some color and some light to a gray place.
And that time of year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then after that, we went into a restaurant. And I'm a teacher, and I had just finished teaching about the Inuit, who are the indigenous people that live in the Arctic. And one of their staple foods is Greenland shark. And I was telling my kids, oh, I'm going to Iceland. It will be really neat to, see some of these different things that we've been talking about, blah, blah, blah. The kids had seen the Inuit, catch a Greenland shark, and they're like, Miss King, you have to try to, try Greenland shark. And so... we get to this restaurant, and I'm like, oh, shoot. it's now or never. Like, I gotta do it.
Yep.
So Garrett and I, the Greenland shark comes to just this like tiny little bite.
Well, they come in like 3 little toothpicks of like little cubes.
Yeah, cubes.
And then it comes with a shot of like a local brandy, like licorice brandy.
They know you're gonna want to wash it down.
Yeah. I mean, and the shark itself it's what's the word? There's like some type of fermented.
Well, they ferment it.
It's a very fermented taste, and then very, very chewy. So it takes. So the longer you chew, like the worse it gets.
Well, and there's a fun fact: if you eat Greenland shark and it's not fermented, it's actually poisonous. So they have to ferment it for it to be, so for you to consume it.
And we'll link the place. The place that we went to is like famous for serving it. So
and famous for serving like typical Icelandic food.
But it was funny that Abby like ate the shark, and then her face is like, oh my god, this is horrible. And then she took the shot of local brandy, and then she's like, oh my god, I think the shark was better than
the shark was better than the shot. Yeah. Maybe it was just after a long night of drinking that didn't sit so well with me, but
I think it's kind of a cool thing to do if you ever have the chance. Definitely try it. So
yeah, absolutely, it was neat. I don't know if I need to do it again, but certainly one for trying new things when we're in new places.
Yeah.
So that kind of wrapped up our day. We headed back to the airport. Thank God I didn't have any issues with my passport. Things were fine.
Things were good.
And we flew back to Denver, and that was kind of our Iceland trip.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
It was good. Yeah, it was a great trip. Very memorable.
Yeah, I would say it was definitely one of the most memorable trips that we've ever taken together. Just an adventure, like, all day, every day. And I certainly don't think that you would be able to get that if you weren't in an RV. So when it comes down to it, like, would we recommend getting an RV?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is coming from the driver. Absolutely. Definitely worth the money, worth the adventure, worth the stress.
Yeah, there were stressful moments, but all in all, like, I think that the RV really granted us a lot of luxuries, like being able to like adjust our plans or check out these cool places on the side of the road and not necessarily have to worry about like checking in with an Airbnb host or being at a hotel during check-in time.
Yeah.
It was honestly like the most flexible way to travel. Iceland in October, like, it wasn't cold. We had a heater in our van, so we didn't worry about like being cold at night at all. Obviously during the day we froze our asses off, but but it was great.
It was worth it, and it added just a whole different dimension to the trip that we haven't really experienced before. And I think now we definitely would want to do that more often. Yeah, renting RVs. So
we're certainly looking into RV-friendly destinations for upcoming trips.
Yeah, so
I think it would be really good for families too. Groups of friends. I think that we are super lucky in that traveling with Corinne is easy. We jokingly call ourselves like a throuple or like a functional tricycle. She's a great third wheel, like just a very comfortable third wheel. Garrett and Corinne have known each other forever, so
yeah, it was good.
We're lucky in that department, but.
Yeah.
Certainly recommend it. And if you guys have questions about Iceland, we are actually going to be launching a website in the next week or two, which we're super excited about. And you can check out our itineraries for Iceland. We would be happy to help you build an itinerary for Iceland as well. So that will be posted in our show notes when we get that up and running. And if you have any questions, like, don't hesitate to reach out to us on Instagram or on Twitter. You can find us in both places, but we can't wait to share more adventures with you.
Yeah, guys, really appreciate it, and we're excited for more adventures in the upcoming podcast.
Yeah, and more stories. So thanks so much for tuning in.
Yep. Bye, guys.
Bye.